Serbia. Kosovo is Serbia. It's my pleasure to introduce the organizer, my co-organizer, but the main organizer for today's event, Sara Flounders, the co-director of the International Action Center. And I want to tell you that Sara Flounders is not a recent joiner of this battle. I was in Kosovo being bombed by NATO in 1999 as a journalist. I was there doing my job, watching what was going on. Sara Flounders went there, volunteered to go there in solidarity with the Serbian people and all of the other people of Yugoslavia who were being bombed. So her commitment has been long, strong, and at the base level and enduring. So thank you very much, Sara Flounders, from the International Action Center.
I want to congratulate everyone who turned out here today, because you're standing for justice and you're standing against division and against colonialism, and that's so important, and that's something that the whole world knows. This is now an issue well understood, that an act of war was committed against Serbia, and the historic province of Kosovo ripped away. That is an act of international lawlessness. It's a violation of the UN Charter, a violation of 1244, and what was that? That was a ceasefire agreement that the U.S. itself wrote. And what does that prove? That they will violate every treaty, every agreement that they made, even if they wrote the agreement themselves. But we're really all here today. We're really here in such numbers. We're here because hundreds of thousands and millions of people stood strong in Belgrade and in other cities. Isn't that the truth? It's because there was resistance. There was resistance such as has not been seen in years. And the thousands of militants in the confrontations at the border and at the bridges under the most difficult conditions, and the thousands of youth who carried out audacious and bold actions that we should say they're an example. They're an example, and we stand with them. It's resistance like this in the hundreds of thousands and millions that has changed the terms of debate. And it's what's worrying them in Washington, because they didn't expect this. They didn't expect it. They thought it would go down without a struggle and without a fight, didn't they? And you have shown otherwise. Because resistance in Serbia has revived resistance to all of the U.S. NATO plans, their plans for bases and divisions, their plans for corporate capital, and creating weak little mini-states, endless war, and corporate occupation and plunder. And it's divisions, sisters and brothers, that benefit no one. None of the multi-ethnic people who once made up the Yugoslav Federation. The future of all of the people of that whole large region today is poorer and more insecure, and certainly Serbia has suffered the most. But no one benefited from these wars except a handful of the military contractors, the war makers who decide these issues. No one else benefited. And it's also an important time, every time we speak here, to make clear that the Kosovo Albanians have gained nothing. They have not even gained independence. No, they haven't. Not even minimal self-government. They are now a direct U.S. colony over banking, over taxation, over every single issue. The KLA, UCK, those forces, they do not represent the Albanians of Kosovo. They're the ones who assassinated all the peoples who stood for unity, including the Albanians of Kosovo. And isn't that true? What have the U.S. NATO troops brought to Kosovo? They brought drugs and a sex trade and 60 to 80% unemployment. That's what they brought to Kosovo. They brought no jobs, the only construction of a giant U.S. military base, U.S. pipelines and contractors, more than 250, 300,000 Serbs, Roma, Guarani, Turkish, and many other people expelled. But also, more than 25% of all Kosovo Albanians forced to leave just to find work. So no one benefiting from this horrendous threat and crime. Today, the U.S. is the center of an empire, and it's an empire that is at war with the world. But we should also remember that this country is also a country of immigrants and the children of immigrants. Some came willingly, some had no choice, some came in chains. But the only time that poor and working people, the only time the average people in the U.S., and this is also true worldwide, win any gain in healthcare, in education, in justice, in sovereignty, and in rights is when there is resistance, when there's unity, when there's solidarity.